Hi folks, and welcome to my video entitled Love. This is a process video on the canvas that is the second of a pair of canvases that I have created for charity. The charity is entitled Love Oliver, and it is a Scottish charity that raises awareness and funds for children's cancer. If you would like to check out the website, it's www.loveoliver.org.uk. And I realise that this video could be on YouTube for many years to come. So what I'll say is if you would like to donate anything, I will leave the text number in the description in order for you to donate. Of course, you can always go to the website as well, but if the text is no longer relevant, then I'll remove it from the description. So sit back, have a cuppa, put your feet up, whatever you want to do when you're watching videos. Just get comfortable, and I hope you enjoy the following. So thank you very much. Bye for now. Hello again, it's Tanya back here, just watching myself fast forward as per usual. As you can see, I've started off the same process as the last video. I'm just ripping up and sticking down some pattern paper. In this case, it's more male orientated, perhaps neutral, either or type paper onto the canvas. I'm being a little bit more careful with the positioning of the paper, just to try and get it looking a little bit aesthetically pleasing. In this particular canvas, I was quite keen to allow some of the paper to really shine through. The last canvas, I had felt that the painting was just a little bit too dark, and it really very much covered up the pretty paper underneath. So I made a conscious effort to allow some of the prettiness to actually shine through in this particular canvas. Now we're moving on to the stamping, and I had the same problems as I had with the other canvas. Even though I knew it would happen, and I tried to stop it, I was still just getting parts of the stamping actually showing and parts not showing. So this is a technique that I've used before. I really like the pastel effect that this got, so I've used actually very cheap pastels, and that's probably one of the reasons why I'm using the gesso as well rather than just using the pastel and fixing it, because the cheap pastels are really very, very chalky. The whole thing has now dried, and I am using the gesso in order to be able to lay down the basic shapes of the head, neck and shoulders. And of course I've learnt from the last canvas, as this is obviously very similar, that I actually liked the longer body, so I've put that in now rather than waiting until later. Using a pastel pencil again to draw in the features. And to be honest, it's probably just as well that I did. I ended up having a lot of bother with actually getting the features correct. This really was the first time I have ever actually drawn a boy, and so it was a challenge in order to be able to get the face looking like a boy rather than like a young girl. And I think I managed to succeed reasonably well. What I didn't notice when I was drawing this, and didn't notice until much later, is that actually the ear is way too far down the side of the head. But the angle that I've got the canvas actually sitting on the table isn't the most helpful for being able to actually gauge where everything should be in proportion, and certainly on the previous canvas, on the previous video, if you've seen it, you may have noticed that I did pick up the canvas on a number of occasions. So you saw me there really kind of having a bit of difficulty deciding where and how I wanted the arms. I kind of decided to leave it in the end and go back to it. So again, just kind of putting on the finishing touches really, and starting to put on the base neutral colour for the base. I actually had a really enjoyable time doing this canvas, and I just realised that I forgot to mention that I'd forgotten to press the record, and the background was very similar to the previous video, where I used some colour onto the canvas and the brayer to actually squash it out and spread it. I used the mixture of acrylic paint and the Tim Holtz Distress paint. So now kind of making slight adjustments to the face. I think I'm making the cheek a little bit more chubby at this point, because let's face it, little boys have little chubby cheeks, as do little girls. So I was trying to make the face a little bit rounder. That was the point that you saw me lifting up the canvas and probably realising that things weren't quite right. So the pause is probably me taking some time to kind of think about what I was wanting to do. Because I made some adjustments, I then did a little bit of adjusting of the edging, because not only was the ear incorrect, the hair was also not quite right because of the ear being in the wrong place. So I think I'm a little bit happier with the face now, and I start to work on building up the colour using my water brush. I have to say that I'm really very impressed with this particular one. It has a valve and things, so it doesn't just come rushing out. And the brush also comes to a very fine tip too, so again very good for doing the detailing. So I'm using the Neo Colours 2. I really like using this product. I can't say that it's definitely because it's Neo Colours 2, because it's the only product of this particular type that I actually own. So yes, I enjoy using it. but that may or may not be because they are neon colours. So again, just keeping checking and lifting up just to make sure that everything is in the right place really, and looking reasonably in proportion, because just like the previous canvas, this canvas is more of a folksy look. So I'm not going for specifically realistic, but I certainly would like to get the face continuing to look like a boy and not tipping over, edging over onto looking like a little girl. So as you can see, I've probably done some more adjustments. Looks like it's been to the hair that I've done that. So I'll stop messing about the face and move on to the hat. Being a little boy, obviously I've gone for a blue colour. So really just blocking in the colour at the moment. There's a little bit of highlighting. I've left a little part out of the peak, and later on you will see me using white paint in the form of gesso in order to really just highlight the highlight. So as this little boy is allegedly the brother of the little girl Hope, I decided to have them same colour eyes. Now what I'm doing is really trying to get the lips so that there is some colour in them, because even little boys' lips have colour, but without them being too particularly pink and girly. So again, trying to keep him looking like a little boy. Moving on to the neck and doing a lot of the shadowing again. Do a lot of kind of backwards and forwards, messing about, just trying to get it looking how I want it to look. Using the gesso as white paint, as it does cover up a multitude of sins. So it's very good if you don't like something, gesso over it. And as the boy is wearing a cap, then obviously there's a little bit more shadowing on his face. Now I don't know if any of you guys spotted it. I mentioned that I really liked using my water brush. Well, the water brush that I'm now using is actually a clear handled brush, because for some reason I put down my other brush to find that I couldn't find it, which was very infuriating because I didn't move from the chair. It wasn't until later on, after I had finished, that I discovered that it was actually under that pile of papers that you can see on my right hand side. The brush with the clear handle, I'm not so keen on using that one, I have to say. It lets too much of the water out. It doesn't have as good a filter system as the green handled brush. I would like to be able to tell you the makes of them, but unfortunately that's not something that I can remember. What you've just seen me doing off camera is actually using the last of the blue paint and putting it into one of my handmade journals, rather than let it dry and go to waste. Just going in with the Polychronos pencil there, just to, again, just really kind of adding. The pen I'm using is a very fine tipped pen, and it's a Stabilo, I believe. I did discover, initially to my horror, but then it became my friend that it does actually smudge with water, but as I didn't really want the little boy to look like he was wearing eyeliner, it was actually really very helpful that it did. Using the gesso again to put in the highlights, and now I've moved on to the little boy's top. I'm using Tim Holtz Distress Marker. I thought it would be nice to experiment with this particular marker and just see what it can actually do. So I used the marker when I eventually get round to it to block in the colour on the little boy's top, and I will wait until later to explain what I'm doing after I've done that. And clearly I'm getting old and forgetful. This was the second time I forgot to press record after taking a break for an interruption. What I have done, as I explained earlier on, is I used the Distress Marker. There's 2 shades of blue that I've used on little boy's top, and this is me putting on the heart to represent obviously love, and putting on the lettering. And now I've gone back to the top. I decided that I really didn't want to run the risk of the paint coming off. I used some gesso in order to seal it, and I actually quite like the muted effect that it gave his top. Just using some gel medium to stick the heart down. I quite liked the effect of that particular paper in the background that you can see on the right hand side of the boy, so I had decided that that was the paper I was going to use for the heart. The lettering is lettering that I cut out using my Cuttlebug with die cuts that I already had in my stash. While I'm waiting on the medium to dry on the lettering, I've just put in the fishing rod. And because I haven't really done any detail in terms of his hands, I've just smudged the bottom to kind of fade it away. I eventually go in with some of the neutral colour, the beige colour, around about the heart, as that's in the background as well, just to give that effect that I was telling you earlier on that I really liked on the right hand side where the fishing rod is on the boy. So I've gone in with the paint. I'm now going in with not Gelatos. These are actually portfolios, oil pastels that are water soluble, and I've gone in and used a kind of reddy brown and a light blue and smudged them in, and used some polychromos as well. I'm now just going round the lettering with the Distress ink pen from Tim Holtz, filling in the little love hearts as well on the letters, and going round, and then I'll go round with the water and just activate the ink a little bit and smudge it slightly. Add a little bit more blue colour at the bottom, so that the transition is a little bit smoother from the boy being there to not being on the page. Just touching up a little bit down the bottom. and now I'm just putting in the fish. Just used a selection of kind of peachy colour and browny colour to do fish. And now I'm using a paint pen to highlight things and checking that it's looking how I want it to look. And now for some sparkle medium. This time I've used a blue colour. It's the same stencil as the other canvas. I'm just adding little bits here and there. Managed to rub off some of the colour of the fish, so I was just going over it, and that was me just tidying up the sparkle medium and adding a little bit to where I've had. So I hope you've enjoyed the show, and thank you very much for joining me. Bye for now.